opportunities for collaboration. So let's see what happens before they leave. So I will try to be brief. I'm supposed to have just 15 minutes, so I try to stick to stay on the time I have. For my presentation, the purpose of my presentation is to introduce, especially to the guests, the topic of the lab and very briefly what have been the 3 stages you walked through in this lab. I would like to start with the title, and I think it's quite meaningful. I say that after. We decided to add a title that I think makes sense, and I can say that after the work we have done. And I like to underline especially 3 words here in the subtitle. First, complexity. And I think we started talking about complexity. And that I think is one of the most important words. Visualization can help us dealing with the complexity of the world outside, and I think we have proof in the work we have done. Of course, visualization is about understanding. We use visualization especially first, I would say for us, for you, to understand the issue that we gave you, or you selected among these issues we gave you. But visualization is not only about understanding. We tried also to use visualization as something that can affect reality. And this is one of the concerns I heard a lot from my colleagues doing research in data visualization. Sometimes we worry about the fact that we are we don't have a real impact in the world. I think it's not true. Maybe it's not direct, but there is an impact that we can, we can make on the real world, and I think this is also something we try to face and to deal with in that life. So it talks about ACT. Complexity, understanding, and ACT. There are 3, I think, keywords in the subtitle. We use, let's say, a proxy for facing complexity. It's an art issue, facing complexity is not easy. So we try to do that using controversies as a controversial issue as a proxy for complexity. Things are complex outside. And this is especially evident when you have a controversy spreading. So we use controversial issues as a way, as an evidence, as a proof of the complexity, and as a way to engage with complexity. And it's true that it's more easy to engage with complexity when you have an evidence like controversy. So we, based on the theories of Latour that we didn't explain to you too much, I mean, it can probably deserve a course in itself, but we use in a way passively, or I would say unconsciously for you, these kind of theories that are based on a network as a paradigm in order to try to engage with complexity. Especially mapping, that's what we do, especially in the second phase of our lab. The negotiation, the dynamics that are connecting and moving in different actors that take part of the controversies. So using mapping controversies is another proxy for complexity. I hope we help you in understanding what complexity is and how visualization can help. For us, it was a way also to put in your hands the society, I would say, at large. So try to give you topics that are controversial enough, but also relevant enough for the society in order to really understand what could be the potential of data visualization and computation design as disciplines. So that's why the reason why we selected certain topics. We worked on topics that are more or less controversial, but they are controversial. There are controversies behind these topics, more or bigger or smaller. But all these topics are, I think, if explored as we did, I think can be evidences of the complexity of many of the issues that are surrounding us. So I just give you, for the others, not for you, some of the pictures we started with when engaging with these topics. We talked about open access starting from the story of Aaron Swartz. I mean, this is something that really caused a big controversy in the field. And what is the role of the publishers in the academic field? That's another image we share with you. What is the reaction of the scientists? By the way, this is one of the hottest discussions we are having nowadays in the mailing list of Polytechnic. If you could access the mailing list of the professors in Polytechnic, one of the trending topics is open access. Is it right or not? Why should we pay for publishing? At this issue, we can understand well what is the controversy here. The second, we proposed the second topic about migration starting from data, and we realized that there is no knowledge about the real data not found. So even on the official data, there is such an uncertainty that I think in itself was worth thinking this topic. And then we went through the social media and the media at large and trying to understand what is the role of the different actors. And these are the images that we pushed to you, and that's where we started our work on migration. Sharing economy is the third topic for groups, and of course, we started talking about Uber, Airbnb, and for years. That's what you will see in the presentation of the groups. But then, immediately you feel also the need to extend your knowledge about sharing economy. Sharing economy is not just Uber and Airbnb; it's much more. You will see through the work what it is. And then finally, the field of nutrition is again one of the many controversial fields surrounding us. I think it's a daily life experience. The number of different uncertainties we have in the field, so words that have not clear meaning, or why should I choose something when I go in a restaurant or in a supermarket? So that's a real controversy that affects us every day. And then again, we went through the role of the media, how the media can orient our choices, even they select what we have to eat, or how even certain specific actors like Djokovic, in the gluten-free domain, or could be strong, addressing issues. And for all of these topics, we also ask you to see what the web can say us about all these controversies. We did that along 3 different stages. We started dealing with official data. I think that was the training part. To get expert of data and data visualization. I think one way is to start from data that has a structure. So official and structured data was a starting point. So we asked you to create a first visualization for that. And the second step, after you get a picture of the phenomenon through official and structured data, we went through a second stage that is, I would say, one of the most innovative components of this course. That is to try to build your own data set according to the research questions you were able to extract from the first phase, and through this original data set, try to get a better understanding of the controversy and the debate behind the issue. And then, after these 2 levels of knowledge, we ask you to take a position. That's again, I think it corresponds to the act term in the subtitle. So take action. Now you know. You explore official data, unstructured data, the official services, and web. Now you have knowledge. Now you can take a position and then take action. Maybe you ask other people to take action. That's something that also communication design is good for. Obviously, that's the term we used. It's quite known the fact that through communication can even lead people to take action. So this is the structure of the course for those that were not here with us in these 4 months. But that was for them. But for you, I would like to point out what I think are the most important takeaways. So that's something that's what I would like you to take away after this experience. 6 or 7 points that I think that's, in a way, synthesis of what we've done, and also something that I would like you to take away after the end of this experience. First, we are more and more convinced that data visualization is a tool, is a language, is a media that can help us really tame complexity. I'm totally convinced of that. And I have more and more every year about this fact. So I think we are on the right track. Visualization is a language that can help with this, I would say, do not work in daily work. Second, if we want to do that, it's important that we consider visualization both as a product, visualizations we have produced, but also as a process. Visualization is a way of understanding, is a process that creates information and knowledge. That's something that we can use, that we can learn as a method, as an approach, as a point of view. It's something that has to do with processes and not with just products. It's much more than just a product. Third, and that's something I think it's quite unique in the experience we have done in this course, visualization is not just a way to express the data, to communicate the data. First and foremost, I would say, a research tool for yourself. You used, maybe unconsciously, visualization for you before using that 40 hours as any time to do it. Fourth, general visualization as communication design in general could be a political tool. I mean, that's quite obvious for people working with maps, for example. Maps have always been political tools that can orient decisions, that can orient the perception of a phenomenon. That's true also for any data visualization. That's very important. It brings responsibility. I mean, visualization is a very powerful, I think, political tool. You can use it for bad, for good. That's how you use as a power, and managing this power is a huge responsibility. And think of what we have done with Wikipedia. If some of your visualizations that you have done for Wikipedia are accepted, they become part of definitions of words that often appears in the first line of Google searches. You know what it means? I mean, that's huge. It's a huge responsibility. You are affecting the way people understand certain content through your diagram. So I think that was an exercise that, by the way, when I talk about this exercise to other people teaching data visualization, they get excited. I think it's a wonderful way to make you feeling the power of data visualization. And so that's an example of how you can really impact reality. So that's real. I mean, it's a definition that many people, thousands, millions of people see when they search for a certain term. Last but not least, visualization is a language. And as a language, can be used in many ways. We are exploring this. I put that at the end because I know that you are still questioning why I'm so fond of this term. But someone yesterday made me thinking again to this term, poetry as linked to action, as linked to changing reality. And this, I think, it's very powerful. So there are also some domains that we are still exploring that I think that will give us interesting results. Maybe not now. We are still thinking of what to do with this poetry that we are asking you. But I think that's another promising line for research. But it was not really last. The last point is that the more we do, the more I do this lab, the more I realize that there's only one way to face complexity through data and visualization. That is to do that together in a number of different disciplines, working on the same issues. I think there is no chance. Maybe it's the same that Farid is experiencing as far as I understood from our first discussions. You need a different combination of disciplines if you want really to tackle complexity through data and visualization. There's no chance. That's why we, since the beginning, here you have different disciplines working together. It's not always easy. It took a number of years to understand what could be, and maybe we are not at the final stage. I mean, what could be a relationship between design and statistics that at the beginning was a kind of blasphemy, Do designers? That was one of the questions or one of the concerns of students. They were like, I mean, really, they will ask us to do statistics, that's crazy. We did it, and we are doing that. I think that was one of the successful ingredients of the recipe. As it was trying to engage with the semi-audience. As it is, I think, the relationship we are trying to build with the computer science. So I want to also to take this opportunity to thank all these professors that accepted the challenge of working from these different disciplines with designers. Marco Fattora, that is not here, probably will arrive for the aperitivo because examinations in Bicocca. And you know, they don't know that he's teaching here. I mean, for statistics, it's quite, you know, the fact that you teach in a design school is not really top of, you know, the reputation of the statistician, not so far. Stefano Mandano that I saw, thank you for being since the beginning here. And the new entry, Michele Mauri, that for the first time accepted to have this, you know, to teach here, and it was one of the assistants last year, and Salvatore Zegali. All these people made the lab together, and you know, I'm more or less just, you know, coordinating, trying to do that, all these disciplines. Last point that really is finished. I spent a lot of words saying why visualization or data visualization I think it's good at, and why I think we made a good job together right now. But please don't forget that, in my opinion, this is just a kind of a transitional way of representing data. So now we are in the stage of visualization as the main way to create a relationship with data. I think that we will see much more than that. I think one of the important components in the future will be the materialization of data, so creating physical experiences of data, or incorporating data into the physical real, or immersed every day. So I think that's one of the directions. Probably we'll see less data visualizations in the proper sense in the future. We'll see more and more data incorporated into experiences, everyday experiences that we do, will be driven by data in a way that is not only visual. Visualization is now easy. It's an easy way to create a relationship, but will not be the only one in the future. We'll see many other kind of relationships. It's an experience. The experience of data, that's something, an important concept, or as someone says, the journey we have through the data all along our life. That's something that we will need to we'll be able, I think, we need to be able to design something more than visualization. That's I think, the challenge for the future. I want to finish with a kind of proud session. I think I'm not exaggerating if I say that what we have experienced so far is one of the most important educational programs you could imagine to have in the field of data visualization. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but it's not just me saying that. If Twitter has a sense, this is one of the examples. I don't know if you are familiar with football. I don't know if you know what Lamantia, I don't know how to pronounce it, is. It's probably the most important youth academies of football, where all the players, the major players that won the golden, what's the name of the prize?
Golden Boot.
Yeah, Messi, Iniesta, all these guys that grew in the Lamantia school. And I mean, that's how other people see what we do. And I think I'm proud of it. I don't know how to say that, but I think we have still room for growing, but I think we are definitely in the right direction. I think we knew that the first time that we took a picture of ourselves. It was a football team, so I think that was probably the anticipation of what. And if I think, I mean, there are just a few of them here with us, and probably the only one is Michele that is still in the picture. But if I think what all the rest is, I mean, what all the other people that were with us starting 10 years ago is, of course, I think we can be proud of what we have done together. So I hope you will be the same. I mean, probably in the future, not right now. So thanks to the assistants that made it possible for the lab. So thank you again. As precious out. Well, thanks to all of you because we learned. I mean, I learned a lot also from any of you, and I hope to get any chance. I mean, I would really be happy to have chances to go on in our discussions and to collaborate more with thesis, with internships, with whatever you can imagine for the future. So thank you, and let's start with the presentations. Who wants to start? As the first group presenting. Do we have a list?
No, we don't.
We don't? So I would suggest to start with open access in order to exploit as much as possible the presence of the Chronocaster Foundation here. Okay? And then let's see the order. Open access. You have the honor to open this presentation session.
Pronti? Dai, ci siamo?
Okay.
You have already figured connections?
Yeah, Edgera was going to come after. It's not working.
Okay, because with the Polini, I don't know, can we create a guest account for Polini?
I mean, it says, I just wanted to show, there's one screenshot I wanted to take and drop it into my presentation.
Because
Let me see.
as professor, be able to create.
I tried.
Otherwise, we cannot connect.
Yeah, but let's do it in the break. I mean, it's not, it doesn't have to be now. I just, it's fine.
Alright, so
Yeah.
Alright. So hello, we're a group of number 5. We were discussing the theme of open access. And so basically, I would start introducing it a little bit because somebody might not already really know what open access is about. Also, people that know about open access, sometimes there is a little confusion in that. So basically, it's a new way of publishing academic research, and unlike the first one, which was a subscription publication, where the users were paying the publisher in order to see content. that was taken sometimes also given for free by authors. Well, now, thanks to the internet, open access was born, and now there are authors who are usually paying for publishing their researches on publishers who take care of publishing it, and then it's given for free to users. So basically, this is the definition of open access. So this is actually the difference between the two models, but is there a way to find out which one of the two is better? Is there a criteria for that? So we started our analysis. We knew very few about open access ourselves, so we started with some basic analysis. So considering the costs compared to the influence of the articles in order to see if the editors are already influenced on this, and we saw that with the cost increasing, so going on the right, we have almost proportionally increasing article influence, and that goes the same way for the impact factor as well. Article influence and impact factor are two different rankings which consider mostly the quantity of citations, but anyway, they are meant to tell the quality of the journal itself. And another research we have done, this research was on VOAJ, which is a very large database featuring a lot of publications, whether subscription or open access. And from the same database, we also made this research in order to see which publications were the ones ranked in the top rankings, whether they were subscription or open access based. And you can see that open access is still a very small reality compared to subscription, even though it was born somewhere between 15 years ago. So these were some nice insights for the beginning of the question, of the problem. But then we wanted to see how the people react to open access, how people talk about open access. So we started with some easy Google queries looking for open access. So we wanted to see the most related words to open access in order so we could look for them on other platforms. For example, on the platform we used, the first one in order to track down the debate on that was Twitter. But on Twitter, we didn't find all the results we were looking for. We found out that that basically the most active users on that are publishers. Here are the 6 most active users on hashtags regarding open access, and 4 of them are publishers. They are mainly talking to each other or between each other sometimes. So we didn't get much out of this research, and that's why we moved on onto Reddit. Reddit is a much more active platform because there are a lot of people who are expert competent. We found a lot of AMA, that means Ask Me Anything topics, started by influent people of the open access. They have important charges inside, for example, publishers or editors. And we basically found, we tracked down the most debated topics, and we see that apart from open access itself, obviously, and all the related problems, and all terms regarding the research in general, like data and findings experiments. The 2 most debated topics in those discussions were problems regarding peer review and business model, and that's why we focused on these 2. They are, you see, the blue balloons are referring to business model and related words, as well as the red ones were referring to peer review. So it was kind of a hot topic, really. Alright, so we found out business model and the peer review as the main topics, and that's why we went on going a bit further on those 2 topics. So we started with basic queries, including open access debate and open access business model. So we tracked down the most used keywords and the website which were most active in the debate. So we could know where to look for when we were looking for some more information. And then we started to go a little bit further with the research. We made a couple of researches onto newspapers in order to see what the public, so non-expert people, can get to know about open access. So we analyzed, here we analyzed 5 main newspapers. We tracked down a list made by ComScore with the 10 most influent newspapers. So we took the 5 of them who were single newspapers and not like groups of newspapers. And so we tracked down how many of the articles written on journals were talking that were talking about open access. We're also talking about the business model problems. And as you can see, the blue and the red squares represent the average or highly economic articles. So they are talking quite a lot about it. And we made a similar research this time, considering the 6 top newspapers from LexisNexis. And we tracked down the opinions of journalists about peer review. So basically, we were focusing on the negative articles about it. And as you can see, here's a little in-depth analysis which tells us why the journalists were not talking good about the open access, so if they were like, suggesting alternative method or if they were criticizing the economic problems of the peer review itself. This is another view of the same database. So we see the most active newspapers in that, and we see that most opinions are negative about it, and they are coming from all these newspapers. We made also research on academic papers and journals. This was made using Scopus, and we analyzed the most debated topics. This time, not from experts to normal people interested in open access, but this is scientific research, so it means that it is made from authors to the authors. So a different approach to the problem. All right. So for these graphs, it's better that you will analyze them when you review our website, because I mean there's no point in wasting too much time on the presentations. They're pretty interesting though. And here's the next problem we found out. So it wasn't one of the first topics we found out when like Googling or looking for Reddit, but we also found out that there's another problem concerning the open access, which is the copyright problem. And it is a problem affecting openness as well as peer review, as we're going to see later, because even though the trend is kind of changing, most articles in open access do not choose open copyright forms, so other researchers are not allowed to continue on previous research. All right, so we analyzed this, and we saw the peer review is the most debated topic of the 3. Also, the easiest to track down, because also business problems are very hard to track down. A lot of editors do not publish, of course, their incomes or their information about their economic processes. So we focused a lot on peer review. First of all, we went on Scopus, where we analyzed the retraction of articles, which is a phenomenon, a kind of a strange phenomenon. Some articles are retracted after the publication, and even though on Scopus the majority of articles are subscription-based ones, as you can see, the retracted articles are far more from open access than subscription publications. So this kind of got our attention, and so we went a little bit deeper, where we analyzed the reasons of these retractions. And as you can see in red, the open access retractions are mostly because of compromised peer review problems. So it seems to be a really big problem for open access. So let's go a little bit deeper on that. And we can see each of the 4, because that database was based on the 4 major publishers according to Scopus criteria, which of course made public the reasons for the retraction. And as we can see, despite having pretty much balanced results in other categories, the compromised peer review seems to have more problems, far more problems with Springer rather than the other 3 publishers. So we decided to try to involve Springer in our final project in order to try to change things. All right, so we have the data, and we wanted to put it on a project that could move something in the field. And so basically, we made a website collecting pretty much all of this data, so presenting all the story of the open access problems. And we found, as a target, of course, we found people that are interested in open access, which are not a lot. They are mostly researchers and authors, of course, but they might be also journalists or activists or anybody else that might be interested. And the purpose of this website was, of course, to explain this research, but also inspire people to join a call to action towards Springer in order to make them change their peer review problem. Which is the most influent of the day. So this is basically the storyline of our website. So there's a short introduction to the theme of openness, to the open access itself. We have some folks that are optional. They will probably be viewed more by people who are interested but not directly involved in the topic. And then we go on to the peer review problems, the retraction problem, and then in the end we have a call to action to Springer, and we decided to actually make a petition. So basically, our website is a website with the theme of our website is a metaphor. So we consider the open access to be as much as a revolution into the spread of knowledge, into the spread of knowledge, and as much as the rest was the revolution in the spread of knowledge 500 years ago. So we used the encyclopedia illustration from Diderot in order to give the research room, and then we made a formal and online petition to Springer, where we are not mad at them. We're not protesting against them. We just want them to cooperate with us and maybe open the review process, because basically they don't publish the reasons of retraction articles. They don't explain they don't publish their peer review. So that is kind of a contradiction as long as we are speaking about openness. All right, so let's go to the website. Cheers. All right, so this is our website. It is called In the Name of Openness because of that problem. Right. So basically, this is a story. We have a long text because the topic is not easy. Our target is competent, is prepared. Even though they might not be prepared about open access, they are like people from the university or researchers or journalists. So the contents are not that easy to read, but it's meant to be that way. So here are our focuses. All right.
Perfect.
Why isn't it working? Anyways, I'm sorry it's not working. It is working on the website, so you will have a chance to see that. So here we are, like taking care of the author, so explaining him all the problems, giving him help if he needs to publish. So, for example, let's say he's involved in health science. All right, interactions are not working. Why are not people saying it should be JPEGs on it?
Okay. Doesn't matter.
All right. I'm sorry because of this, but you will be able to see it. I can guarantee it will work. All right. So here we go a little bit deeper into the open access problem. So we are presenting the process that takes an article to be published. So we present the peer review has a crucial and central role in the process. So a problem in the peer review affects the whole process, the whole open access research. So that's kind of different. All right, we're having a little bit of problems on this, but this is the graph that we saw before the presentation. Let's change a little bit. I'm sorry for this issue. It was supposed to work. All right, great. So
this basically was the focus. I'm used to Windows, I'm sorry. So there are health science, and so we have the major publications. It's a little bit stretched on the big screen, but this is the help for researchers. Well, this is the storyline that keeps going and keeps telling that peer review is kind of influent into the whole process. And there is something slowing down this process. So that's the analysis where journalists are criticizing negatively peer review and explaining why peer review is not working. And then we go to the retraction problem, which is kind of central in our research. So we have a photograph that we were seeing before in the presentation. And then there's trigger that comes in. And that's when we try to inspire people in our call to action. We have one final call to action, and then an online application on change.org. And this is the full thing. All right, that was our website. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any comments?
Yes.
Yes. Microphone, please. Or if one can stand up.
You want me to stand
Maybe
up?
it's not
No.
long enough.
Oh, it is.
It is, okay.
Is it working? Yes? No? Do I have the switch on? Yeah? No?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. First of all, very interesting, great presentation. Don't worry that there was some Italian in the slides. These things do not matter in the end. So what I wanted to ask you is, when you were preparing what you were going to search for, how much work did you do to try and understand the community that you were going to study in terms of your searches and so on? And then the other thing, can you go back up to the Springer bit? Because clearly through this kind of this one. Through this exploratory process, you uncovered something very juicy, which is really, really interesting. And so specifically in terms of the compromised peer review, and this is what I mean when I want you to say a little bit more about how well you understand these communities, or if you think, if you had maybe done work, or I would like you to tell me a little bit about that, if you may have also then investigated the differences between some of these publishers in terms of how they are sending out unsolicited emails to academics to encourage people to publish in open access. So most of us, I think, here get a lot of these emails, right? So there's quite a scandal, actually, that these publishers are always like fishing and saying, you know, publish with us and we will offer you these things. And I think you can probably drill down even deeper into essentially, like, because what I like about your narrative is that you kind of go deeper, 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 and you find this, and I think you could go deeper to try and understand more about why that is the case. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if you found actually correlation between some of these publishers and their very aggressive tactics in terms of getting people to publish in their journals, and then this result.
Well, that's pretty interesting, but we didn't think about that because, of course, we don't receive emails, but so we haven't heard about it, and we also didn't find anything actually when making like Twitter or Google research statements. So that would have been very interesting to know, like a month ago or something. But unfortunately, we haven't. I don't know about you, but I never heard about it.
Okay. Right. And then the first part of my question: how much did you find out about how different communities talk about open access? Did you find out everything through this exploratory process, or did you already kind of, you know, have a good idea these are the key issues in terms of open access?
No, actually, the ideas came from basically the Reddit analysis. So the Reddit analysis was very deep, so we analyzed a lot in that context. We analyzed less others when we saw that they were not like as impactful for our research. But we went very deep on Reddit.
Okay, so then the final comment then is, what might be useful to then kind of frame is that the way in which the whole project is framed then is through essentially what you've found out through this Reddit community, rather than doing kind of a large literature review, whatever you want to call it, and then being able to say, this is what we found out independent of Reddit, and Reddit says, you know what I mean? So you have a different baseline.
Yes, Reddit was our launch pad.
Yeah.
In order to find the debated topics.
Yeah.
Then we analyzed them separately, not in the community.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go away, stay here.
No.
Well, we were supposed to have a second guest that actually didn't catch the plane this morning, so he's not here. He apologizes a bit for this, but he's remotely looking at your presentations, and it's Theo Nagel from the Urban Complexity Lab in Potsdam. We have many research overlapping with them. You can see from the words. The title of the lab is Urban Complexity Lab, so complexity is always there. And Theo sent me comments and questions, so I will do that for any group. So I will read also the questions and the comments from Theo and ask you to give answers. So on the open access, Theo says, I love the fact that you experimented with a variety of different visualization techniques. So some of them used only once, so others used more times. And the question is, did you find some techniques more telling than others, more effective than others? So,
I think it is a question.
so did you find some techniques, some visual techniques, visualization techniques, more telling than others, more effective, more useful than others? You use different visualization patterns.
Yeah, well, we use the ones that we thought that were most useful for the case. But we did not have like some revolutionary visualization process that got everything easy for us. So we didn't find a revolution in that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Okay, so there is no.
We found more of a revolution into a research process that was Mauro's research process on the academic journals. That was kind of revolutionary, but not the visualization.
So okay, you find any specific usefulness in visualization itself,
No,
or as a process than as not.
Yes, I guess so.
Okay, thank you. So we go to the next group. We go with group number 4. That is, what is it? Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Salve my connections.
Welcome.
Okay.
Everybody here? Hello, my name is Michele. Loud enough? Okay. My name is Michele, and I'm going to be presenting to you the work we've done in the past 6 months. My colleagues and I. 4 months? No. But anyways, our focus was the European migrant and refugee crisis. I'm sure everybody has heard it at least once. But why is it a crisis? Why do we call it a crisis? Turns out that in 2015, more than 1 million people came to Europe and asking for asylum. And this is the highest migration flow in Europe since World War II. Those are statistics from the International Organization for Migration. And so at the beginning, we knew very little about it. So the first thing that we did was investigating through official data to get a better sense of what was going on, what were the underlying challenges. And these were a few sources that we use. Those are all intergovernmental organizations, and they helped us a lot in understanding, it was a good introduction to the problem. And so we gathered all the information we found on the website. It's called The Road to Asylum, and we're going to share with you some of the aspects that we analyzed. So as the name suggests, the asylum application process was a key aspect, and of course, in 2015, the numbers skyrocketed because of the big inflow, and the people were coming from war territories such as Syria, Eritrea, Afghanistan. So, but how did they came to Europe? So we explored the routes that they took, and at the time of the research, the key entry point was Italy. But right now, the flow is more to the eastern Mediterranean. By far, 80% of the people coming here to Europe is through there. But who are these people that are coming? So we looked at the distribution of the country of origin in relation to the destination, and also the acceptance rates. And for example, we can see that most of the Syrians that came here were accepted, that asked for asylum, were accepted, but for example, Serbia, people from Serbia, very difficult to get a refugee status protection. And it's interesting to note that, for example, for war-torn territories such as Afghanistan or Iraq, the percentages are not so high as is for Syria. But how does this asylum request process work? So basically what happens is that when people come to the border of the states, they get fingerprinted. And the fingerprint is sent to a Eurodac database, and then they are provided with food and shelter while they wait for an interview. It's done to understand who they are and why they came here, and later on a judge will decide if they can be granted or rejected the refugee status or partial rights such as the humanitarian protection or the temporary protection status. And lastly, another thing that we looked at was Europe gives communitarian funds to the various countries, and this is one of the funds is called the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund, and we put it in relation with the number of asylum application per country. And here it was an experiment. We tried to create a new topography of Europe based on it. So these were all pretty interesting facts, and they give us a good perspective of the official data. But we ask ourselves, what about the general public? what do they think the same thing? Do they talk about the same things? And we thought that one way to find it out was to ask Google. And every day, when we don't know about anything and we wanna quickly find out about it, we Google it. So we decided to use Google Trends, and we queried two of the most important queries that people used to talk about when talking to this crisis. So it's migrant crisis and the refugee crisis. And see here, in the first week of September 2015, there was a huge peak here, but we didn't know what it was. And so we decided to go back in time. We went on the pages of the most, a few of the most international read news websites. And this is what we found out. This is the New York Times. Here is the Huffington Post, Google News, and also the BBC. They all have in common one picture. And it's, what happened is that on September 2nd, 2015, the picture of a boy that died on the beach of Bodrum, Turkey, started to circulate first on social networks, and it was the news was picked up by the mainstream media, and this image really completely changed the debate around the immigration crisis, and I think Maria will talk about this or something related to this, and so this image really made us think. So the power of these images, they can really influence the debates, and we were able to find out how the migration was narrated, about this particular migration was narrated through images. And were there any more important images than others? And this kind of questions. For example, do they change in every country? Are different images more relevant to the debate? But how do we get these images? Well, most of us, when it comes to information, we use the media, the news organization. That's one of the most important sources of information. And for some people, it's the only source of information. So we thought a good way to find out what were the most seen images was to look at media. Yeah, images used by media. So that's what we did. We took for every country in the European Union, we picked the two most relevant media sources, online media sources, based on Alexa Google Rank, and scraped the most relevant, the 50 most relevant images for each source related to the migration crisis, so migrant crisis, sorry. So at the end, we had 2,800 pictures, and there was our corpus, and we started to investigate the images. And the first thing that we did was to categorize each image of the corpus based on the elements that we could see in the images. And at the same time, we wanted to see if there were some images that were recurring in the corpus, thinking that they may be the most relevant. But while doing that, we found out two facts that were really interesting and we didn't have thought of before. And the first one was that it wasn't the same exact images recurring in the corpus a lot, but there were particular events that were depicted a lot, but with different pictures, different moments in times, different focuses. This, for example, is again the death of Ayaan Kurdi, and so we can see the focus really changes, and sometimes the images are the same, but they are cropped. So it might be a different the media wanted to give a different focus to that particular image. And the second thing that we found out was really interesting was that some images that were related to the same events, but they kind of look the same. They represented the same pattern, same situations, even sometimes even the same composition. For example, you have people coming up the raft or the team with a lot of tension, and these similarities, they really work. They get us stuck in our head, and we start to remember the problem by these images. And this is another example, the rush to the train, people getting in by their windows, something we see a lot. And another thing that we did was extracting the text translated in English for every article related to the image. Try to see the language used in each article, see the relation between the terms refugee and migrant. That really changes depending on the article. So, pictures. They are easy to remember, they are really powerful, they can convey great emotions. But we ask ourselves, I mean, looking at all these elements that we have seen before, they represent only, maybe they represent only one part of the phenomenon. They don't represent all of it. We see the journey that people make coming to Europe. So we start thinking, do the media, or at least some media, cover the phenomenon as it should be covered? Do they told us everything, what about the big picture? So the first website that we made, we call it the big picture, because of this, and we're going to show it to you right now. So again, just to say it one more time, pictures are really powerful. And if you come to our website, the first thing that we want to ask to users is getting to know what the most recurring elements for them are. And this is done for two purposes. The first one is, of course, make the user think about the issue and really preparing, making you think about what we're going to say next. And another purpose is to collect data from the users and use it for us to evaluate our previous research and see what we thought the most important images for each country were. The users in each country are going to keep the same. So it serves two purposes. So the user can pick the country, example for me, it's Italy, and he has to select three things. So, and all this information is sent to a database, and it's going to help us in the next phase. Because later we're going to show our findings. And for example, one thing that we found is that on average in Europe, 1/3 of the images, all the 2,800 images, were depicting children. And this is something that is not easy to see, but when you look at the big picture, actually, this is what we find out. And also, we highlighted the images that the elements that the user chose before. And of course, for each country, though, the rank changes. So, for example, in coastal countries like Italy or Greece, the priority changes. For example, in Italy, the team is graphs. Those were the images that were mostly shown by the media. In the top box, you can see numbers from our research, and here at the box shows the percentages from the data we collected in our sites. So as I said, for example, in Greece, also G is higher in the top rank, but in the countries in the eastern routes, where people coming from Syria and Afghanistan and the Middle East, they come through all these countries to go to Germany. And here we see that law enforcement and barriers, those elements are much higher. So all these elements, we see that there is a pattern. We see a lot of the same elements over and over. And they are all referring to one part of the story. Because of course, if there is a crisis, the problem is not only the journey they make, but it's also what's going on in their country, what's their background, and what happens when they come to our nation, how do they integrate. And this is, holistically, we should see all of this part to get a better opinion of the problem, but instead, the images themselves, by far, 97% of the images were referring to only the journey. And so, this is something that we should do. And looking deeper into the images, as we said before, the recurring elements were shown in the same manner. So the example we showed before was the rush to the train here, or we saw the children's landing, but also, for example, the invasion. We call it the invasion because see these mass of people coming, they all look the same, crowding the picture, or the acts of trespassing the barbed wire. They're not showing before the barrier or after the barrier. They're always showing the part where they are, trespassing. And another thing that some of the media did in some articles about this was even to use images completely out of context or modify it, stretch it, and distorting it. And this goes beyond ethical journalistic principle. And one example of this that we found in corpus was the picture of Massimo Sestini. This is a picture taken in 2014 of the coast of Libya. And this picture was used later on a lot of times, 1 year later, by a lot of media. And sometimes they were reporting, 1 year later, illegal migration to Europe was strongly picture completely out of context. And sometimes the image gets longer, the boat gets longer or larger. All of this to create a more, emotional story. And this is a quote that we found. It was by Enrico Pugliese, he's a research professor at La Sapienza, and he writes for the manifesto. And he said there are no wrong words, there is a wrong use of words, and we think this is really true for images as well. So, but at the end, we wanted to present it's not our solution because this is not an easy problem, it's not something that we can easily fix, but we want to make a small contribution in order to provide the users with a different perspective of the phenomenon, so they can have more sides of the same story and just have a form of better opinion, and so they can really decide what they need. And so we created a curated list of sources that we find online that cover the entire scope of the phenomenon. We divided it by campaigns made by ONGs. For example, this is made by Amnesty International, this one from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and but also data-driven journalism made by journalists and so on. And at the end, we ask the user if he or she wants to contribute to our list and expand our list. So thank you.
Questions? You have questions?
Yeah.
Do you know that? Do you know that
Yeah.
the topic?
Thank you so much. Yeah, my lab is doing a lot of work in this space, so that's really super interesting. I would love to talk to you more about this. I have many questions, but I think one thing that I think is really interesting about this is that you have collected the data set, which is I don't know how representative it is, but it's quite large, and I think it tells a very compelling story. And I think it's certainly one that we would agree with, that this is, you know, these are the kinds of pictures that you tend to find a lot. And I think there's two things that I think are interesting. One, I'm always interested in what is missing, right? So on the one hand, there's always a focus on volume, and through that, you try to make an argument to say a lot of pictures are of these things. But I think there's also a really strong argument to make around the lack of volume, right? The infrequency. And sometimes you can kind of crack the door open as effectively, or sometimes even more effectively, to say, well, what's not being shown? What is, you know, why are there not pictures of, for example, you know, individual old people walking on their own in the countryside? And I've looked at this, you know, so sometimes a lot of the pictures that you've shown we're very, very familiar with, and I think where things become sometimes really interesting is when that's disrupted, or you try and find, well, what are the pictures that are not shown that much, and why were they shown, right? Because I think what is being shown here is essentially almost like this idea that it's mainly children coming, or, you know, just hordes of people, right? And so there's also something interesting to kind of think about what are the big pictures, or what are the big narratives in the mainstream media discourse versus maybe what are the images of, right? And how do they or don't they match up, right? So I think that's one thing, and it's very complex one to deal with, but I think in terms of, you know, you kind of ended up by saying, we're just trying to make small contribution, but I think you could make a much bigger contribution by having a bigger push for an ask, or a bigger kind of advocacy point to say, how could you work with journalists to get them to understand what they're sending out in the world based on, you know, what you found. So I think there's something there. And then I think the other thing that I'm really interested in is this kind of idea of crisis, because I think the real crisis is still to come. The real crisis is the crisis of integration. And there's one point about the people are coming, the disaster hits when the people are here and you have no idea what to do with them. And that's not being shown, right? Like you said that, like everything is about the journey and everything is about the threat. And the threat might be, you know, people coming on boats, or, you know, climbing through things or over things and so on. But that's another really big missing picture. How do you show, you know, integration as it's happening, right, in country? So what I'm interested in is, what were the pictures of that, if you found any, and how do you imagine this narrative is going to change in the next 12 months? Because that would be super, super, super interesting to be able to kind of track, or maybe not in the next 12 months, but to see, you know, at some point, is there a shift? Right? Do they at some point stop saying, oh, the people are coming, the people are coming, the people are coming? At what point do you have to say, oh, you know, they're kind of here. How do we deal with that? Because that also, in terms of journalism, that's a really, really hard thing to deal with, right? What you are showing now is a lot of it is kind of event-driven. A process is much harder to show. A process is much harder to track. A process is much harder to picture. And I think it's also much harder to track data-wise. And I think that's a really interesting challenge.
I guess it's maybe also a less compelling. It's a less compelling story
Sure,
to tell about. So one of the biggest challenges for media organizations is to overcome this fear of losing audience and maybe tell more of in an ethical way the interaction. I'm not sure if it can be done in the next, or it will be done in the next 12 months, at least in the mainstream media, but there are a lot of good initiatives. There is the International Journalism Festival here in Belgium, actually, which is a really good event. And Balicio Blue is a collective of journalists, Italian journalists that really they care a lot about ethical cover news and other sources. All the Guardian actually wasn't in our list. I think it does a pretty good job covering some of the parts that are missing, for example, the integration part. But we could, for example, in our corpus, we couldn't find any. I think the percentage was 6 images, 7 images related to just story of integration. And then I think one of the other problem is that those stories are just exceptional cases. I mean, for example, Syrian doctor that comes here and saves lives in the UK. That's not the everyday, the average person who comes here. So from one side, they actually talk about integration, but from the other side, they just talk about an exceptional case. So.
Can I ask one quick follow-up? So yeah, you just reminded me of something. Another huge issue here is that there's way too much focus on Syria. So if you, I mean, you saw it, you showed it yourself, right? So one thing that would be, did you think about maybe tagging it also, who's being shown? Like, are they Syrians? Or, do you know what I mean? Like, because if you actually look at the Eurostat data that you showed, they're not all Syrians, clearly. Like, there's loads of immigration coming from Eritrea, and, you know, from other parts of Africa. But if we were to believe the media, everybody's coming from Syria.
That's totally true. It was. Yes, yes, something that would have been really hard to do with this conclusion, but maybe it would have been interesting to look at the article text. I'm sure most of the time when Syrians were mentioned.
Yes, they're kind of refugees du jour now. Yeah.
And for example, in a few months ago, a law. It was 2 months ago, a law passed in Macedonia where they closed the border and they let pass only people from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And this is crazy because you can't, pick who comes from, who is a refugee. So that's really, really a problem, especially in the Balkan countries. Also, this is a problem related to the
yeah. Now there's an explosion in fake Syrian passports because everybody's trying to claim that they're from Syria for that reason.
Okay, I have comments and questions from Theo now from Boston. A comment, he says, it's great to create such beautiful visual style as in from the Brazil website. So I think one seems to be appreciated a lot. So as this can lead to higher engagement
in a public audience. So was highlighting the fact that having a beautiful website can help. I wonder if you were able to find some relation between reactions in mediaware and the official data, such as refugees number from specific areas, question mark. Is there
I'm not sure I got this.
any relationship between the reactions of the media, so the media pushing certain images and the official data? Is able the media to orient or the real phenomenon? So there's any connection between what media says and what happens? Is increasing, reducing the number of refugees from a certain area, the fact that media are, describing the phenomenon in a certain way?
I think there are two problems here, and one is that the official data are when we get official data, it always the date of the official data is always really old, so we always have a picture of the past. So it's hard to, if you have to analyze the official data, we are always behind. We never see the present, the actual picture of the phenomenon. And the other problem is that I guess media are not really showing what is really happening. And this is because of the things we have said so far. They follow the events that can provoke audience. They follow the events that they know they can get more audience. For example, the death of Ali Kurdi that was picked up by everybody, but it was just like a herd move. I don't know if it's English, but it's easy to do what everybody else is doing because you can get the momentum in the news. And this is a problem because it's not really showing the actual picture. I'm not sure I answered the question.
Okay, any other
Questions? Okay. Thank you, and we go straight to the group number 3. Yeah, it's again about migration to a different perspective.
I wish my students Yeah. So one thing I keep meaning to ask, but I wanted to ask the other group as well, is are these available publicly? Is there somewhere you can go? Or because I would love to.
There will be public in the next week because they just finished the website.
Yeah.
Yesterday probably.
Yeah. Sure.
And because during the concept free website, the first 2 are already online, and this one will be online next week.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, but we're applying for funding that. It would be really nice to be able to use them, like them.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Camila. We are Lucia, Pedro, Clara, Sebastián, and Giovanni is in France, but with us. We are going to guide you through three steps in our presentation that are the 3 steps of our project. We're going to talk about migration. Since we started to explore this theme, we knew we need to focus in a specific way to understand the whole topic of migration. We started by using using data given by Eurostat, the World Bank, and OECD. With this visualization, we expect to fund immigration of people who came from countries that are not part of the European Union. But as soon as we created, we realized that we have two important migratory fluxes, and we wanted to analyze them. In 2013, the non-European migrants were 1.4 million, and the European migrants were 1.3 million. So we wanted to explore this issue to focus more our project in this specific aspect. We wanted to talk about the unknown migration. We call it this way because it is a fact that it's not so common and it's not so public nowadays. This issue attracts our curiosity, so we start to compare several factors that could influence the migratory fluxes of people into Europe, within Europe. In this chart, we compare the median net income and the cost of life of each country, and we also compare with the immigration rate of each country. Another analysis we did was to compare the unemployment rate and the percentage of total immigrants population of each country. And it shows it was not a common pattern between the European countries. Once several analyses were made, it was clear that a parallel factor does not exist. But we realized that a combination of factors was the main focus of the migration. So this cluster analysis shows us how different countries behave with our different factors. This red cluster shows the countries with high GDP per capita, high median net income, and high quality of life. So here we can see special cases like Luxembourg and Iceland, but the other ones are quite similar. And here, an exceptional case is Romania, that has a high immigration rate, but has low GDP per capita, low median net income, and furthermore, it has high employment rate with a positive quality of life.
Okay. After the first phase, we started the second step of our work, stopping using official data and starting crawling data from the web in order to explore and discover something that official data could not tell us. At the beginning of the work, we made an overview of possible topics which could have some relation with migration. So we thought about migration and labor, migration and criminality, and so on. And after a short time, we decided to work on migration and movies. And we selected this particular topic for mainly three reasons. The first one is that it could be a sort of umbrella topic, which in a way could contain the other, a lot of the other possible topics. Secondly, cinema as a media has a high communication potential, and we were interested in understanding if and how cinema can contribute in transmitting impressions and stereotypes about migration. And Last reason is that each of us had abroad experiences which made we understand what does it mean to go abroad out of your home country, and we went through several stereotypes like mafia for Italian people or drug trafficking for the Colombians. And for these three reasons, we decided to call the second phase of our work Migration Backstage. And once we selected the topic, the first step was to choose the movies to analyze. And we did it in this way. We selected 6 queries, which were immigrant immigration, migrant and migration, in order to search movies of this topic on 5 different platforms like IMDb or Google or Wikipedia. And with this process, we obtained 15 movie lists, and if a movie was present in at least 3 of these 15 lists, then we selected it, considering it to be relevant for our analysis, and this allowed us to obtain a list composed by 120 movies. Once the corpus was obtained, we started analyzing our movies, and we did it in 3 main ways. The first one regards visual aspects of movies. We work on covers and trailers and colors of these products. The second way was about geographical information, which means the most and less narrated migratory fluxes in these films. And the last one was a content analysis, where we focused on the keywords IMDb users write in order to describe the content of these films. In fact, on IMDb, each movie has its own web page in which the users can write keywords in order to describe the content and what they perceive about a movie. And in particular, this last analysis produced interesting results because we found out that most of the keywords the users wrote were about negative topics such as criminality and violence. And these negative keywords was more spread in the most popular movies. As you can see in this chart, the red area are more present in the high zone of the chart. And this finding led us to suppose that cinema depicts migration in a bad way, contributing in transmitting bad stereotypes about migrants.
So in the third step of our work, we wanted to make people reflect about this outcome that we had in our second phase. We decided to create a website to communicate this topic. We wanted to refer in particular to people who used to read reviews about movies before choosing something to watch. We wanted to make them reflect that there are different points of view. So the points of view of the reviewers can be different from the one you have, and also from the one the cinema is presenting with the precise movie. But let's see how we get to this point. So, as we saw before, we analyzed in the second phase 120 movies, and we realized that the most narrated flows of people are the ones that comes from Mexico and go to the United States. So we decided to focus on this topic in particular, and we looked for other 37 movies that speaks about the topic. We analyzed the 72 main Mexican characters that are presented, and we collected all the features that characterize these characters. Then we also collected all the keywords that are used to describe the content of these movies, and we went through all the plots and we watched all the trailer of these movies to understand the content. What we realized pretty soon is that the version that movies present, so how they present characters, is pretty different from the perception that the reviewers has. So usually movies present characters, Mexican migrants, as a positive or honest characters, while the words that are used to describe these movies are mainly related to violence and criminality. So what we wanted to make people reflect about is that probably something that could happen also when someone is choosing a movie to see using review written from other people. So the structure of our website should allow this comparison between these three different points of view. That is the points of view of the movies, so how they present a Mexican character, the points of view of the reviewers, so through the keywords they write to describe the content, and the points of view of the user that is using our website at the moment. To involve the user, we decide to ask him at the beginning of our website how he guesses cinema will present a Mexican migrant. And in order to do that, we gave him the possibility to use a generator. He has to type the name of a character and select some characteristic that allow him to an illustration to create the ideal migrant he has in mind. We will have the possibility to select between different characteristics that comes from a database that we created by collecting the feature of the films, so the characters of the movies we analyzed. And of course, there are a lot of characteristics, but only some of those will be relevant for the next step. So let's make the example that our user will be selecting a male character that is maybe more than 30 years old, that he has short hairs, and that he likes to wear casual clothes, or I don't know, maybe he has a mustache, or it's a mechanic, let's say. But all these characteristics are going to be shown on the character that is created. But of course, only some of those will be relevant for the next section. And these are the gender, the age of the character, his ethnicity, and the job he made. So the next section, where we show the results and the comparison between what the user creates and what movie and reviewers tell, it's divided into three sections. In the first section, it will be possible to see how movies present a character that resembles the one the user has created. And it will be possible to see the trailer of the movie, a picture of the character, which will be red if the character has something to do with criminality, or green if it's more honest or positive character, and also a short description of his role in the movie. In the middle column, it will be possible to say how reviewers describe this movie using keywords. And also here we see that green keywords are more positive, and the red keywords are more related to criminality. And at the end, in the third column, there will be the statistic related to the character the user has created in comparison to the characteristics of all the 72 characters we analyzed. At the end of our website, it will be possible also to have a general overview where you can see all the picture of the characters we analyzed, and the color will be describing if it's presented as a positive character by the movie and how people describe the context. So after scrolling down all our websites, we suppose that the user will be able to understand that each one has its own perception of the topic, and also if you decide to choose a movie based on a review, you have to keep in mind that there are different points of view and people are influenced by different things. That could be, of course, the content of the movie, but not only. It could be also for personal experience and for personal preconception. So, of course, movies impose and use stereotypes, but there are other many factors that can influence the reviewers. So there can be other media or social contents where he grew up, or his own education.
So we would like that at the end of this experience, the user will keep in mind that these are different points of view, and maybe changing the next movie, we will be able to have a more different approach to the problem. Thank you.
Questions from the audience, or especially guests?
Yeah, gracias. Really interesting. Really interesting. I really like how you present the process, and because it's really complex. And so I think what you've done, I think very successfully, is try to break down all of these different elements. And so I really like your kind of way that you involve users to build up and you know, pick certain elements. I mean, it'd be really interesting, I guess, you know, you don't have time for this, you know, why they picked those, right? So why are they kind of go-to characteristics? I mean, it's really super interesting. So I really like what it opens up, what it shows. And I was wondering if you could comment maybe a little bit on how you could see this maybe work in practice beyond your website, right? So how could you see this work on, I don't know, like Netflix, for example? Because the way in which, you know, we engage as users or someone who's scrolling through, you know, what should I watch? I think what you presented is this really interesting way of thinking about the whole reviewing system, right? So one thing that I didn't see as one of the elements was algorithmic kind of sorting or presenting of choices. So I think what you've kind of stumbled on here in a really interesting way is maybe what do you think could be the future of how you can structurally think about how we interact with reviews, right? Because if you think about a lot of our social interaction, may it be from Uber to whatever, everything is now very much this reciprocal, you know, I rate you, you rate me, and how does that, you know, how do we think about making choices then? I think what you're doing here is you're opening, kind of like breaking that completely open to say, actually, there's different ways that maybe could be presented then. And I think what you've started to unpick here is maybe sort of almost like a prototype of how you can think about reviewing in the future, where you can say, well, you know, users say, and so on. So I was just, you know, could you comment on where you could see this applied? Because I think your case is really specific, and so it's almost like you show an incredibly exciting prototype. But could you say something about how you could see this you know, what are the transferable elements, I think, in terms of reviewing?
Well, but we thought about like the next step after this. But we needed two things. One was like including the possibility that we can get all the information that our users have and show also what our users use. As an example, they create a character, and that means they have one kind of stereotype, and we can take that information and also make kind of visualization to see how also our users are thinking. You know, like showing the history of our users. That was one. And the other thing interesting for us, it was like we're using just an example of Mexican viewers, but this could be much fewer. It could be applied to Italians, Colombians, Chinese people. It's very interesting, and also
African American.
Yeah, of course. Very interesting that the potential to grow.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Also in terms of education, I mean, it's massive. Yeah. Really interesting.
One thing about Netflix is that we thought about Netflix, but the problem is that Netflix doesn't work with keywords. The research engine works with the titles directly, so it doesn't work if you type migrants. Just show migrant, the film migrant.
Yeah.
If we have time, we can show the website. It's working.
While you show the website, I have a question
from Till.
It is asking, I wonder if media, such as movies, are being consumed by people with political or societal opinions which are close to their corporate ones anyway. Even though this is very hard to measure, there might be an indicator. So it might be that our films, the big migrants, more positive than stand-up action or crime movie for mass audience. Can you classify movies based on their target audience? You got the question.
Okay, that's something that we thought about. It also something we realized is that the fact that we use in particular intermovie database as a source of data would have kind of lead our analysis more on the United States movies. Also because of the language that it's used, because of course we were checking the English results for that. So we know that in this analysis we are not kind of having an overview of all the possibilities in the all the movies that are created, both from independent production and from the most common production or the most let's say rich. But of course, it's something that would be interesting to see and to analyze it in more details. Did I answer the question?
I don't know. Android again and
Here we have all the movies, as you can see. All the movies, and here shows that the process of view selection and the main aspects that we talked about that was important for our future. And after that, we have the website, which has like also the link to go to engage in our database.
Okay, thank you. We're now 15 minutes break and 15 minutes for testing some connections, and we'll be back. Thank you. We'll start with group number 2 after 15 minutes.
Okay.
Niente male.
Start the first.
First one was a bit messy, but the rest.
We try for. Yeah, we should try to contain. Maybe 18,000.